Welcome back, Transformers fans, to another episode of Bot vs. Con. As always, I'm James the Con.
And I'm Bobby the Bot.
And we have an early episode for you, and we're going to be talking about For that, shout out to our official sponsors, The Chosen Prime. Go there for any of your Transformer needs. Probably not with this figure, but I'm sure they have other ones that you want. And a big shout out to our members for keeping this channel running. We really appreciate it. Go check out our member tiers. We try to make it worth your while. And yeah, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And thank you to everybody that already did. All right, so why don't we talk about the Haslab, which Bobby called when we were texting because of the fire engine comment. It is RID Optimus Prime. So let's go through the pictures first and discuss these, and then we'll talk about our thoughts afterwards. So, as I think is normal for me, I always like the inner bot better than the combined mode. I think this looks okay, but one of the first things I noticed was that hollow fist.
Why did they turn it this way?
And, you know, the price is $250, which I'll get into in a little bit, but you couldn't have given it articulated fingers at $250. But that being said, I think it does look nice. The alt mode looks really good, and so does the bot mode. It looks like the original figure, which I will also talk about in a little bit.
Are you finished?
I am. I'm gonna rant later, so stay tuned.
I can see it on your face. You look so disappointed. I'm going to start off by saying I absolutely am surprised that it actually looks really good. It looks, as you said, just like the original toy. It almost looks like an upsized, not necessarily KO, but an upsized representation of the previous toy. I love the colors in this render, of course. I mean, it's popping off the page. So I love all those things. The alt mode, I was never a fan. First, let me say this. I was never a fan, really, of these two when it was originally released. But I think they've done a great job making it look just like the original release.
Yeah, so, and I will say I do like this alt mode a little bit better for Optimus Prime. I think a fire truck just makes sense for a hero versus a trucker, you know, but I understand why. So let's keep it moving. Here's the combine mode and the base mode, I guess, for the kibble, if you don't want it like that. And it looks just like the original toy.
It does. Something that I liked that, again, kind of irritated me about the original toy is that the back of the ladder and the super mode, it doesn't have to be bent now. It can actually, since he's taller, it can actually stay straight. I know that's a minor thing, but it looks different. It looks better to me. They also mentioned that if you have any Titan Masters or what are they called? I think they're Titan, whatever the Titan guys are, they will fit in the little bucket in the ladder. So I thought that was kind of cool as well. As you said, it looks like I can't even say an updated version because it looks so much like the original.
To me, and that's something we'll talk about. To me, it doesn't look updated at all. Besides ankle tilts. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about the toy itself. I think it looks fine. And here's Ultra Magnus. It looks just like the original one. There's literally nothing different.
This was the one that I did not like as the original. I hated how long his legs were and how short his torso was. But again, that's due to the character itself or whatever. Again, these renders look really, really good. And it does look just like the original, though.
Yeah.
I like that they added this section for him to get the matrix or the energon matrix or whatever they decided to call it in his chest, even though they didn't have a prototype of it. So I like that aspect of it. But go ahead and continue.
We got Blue Bolt, which did not. I think that was his name. Did they call him Blue Bolt?
Yes.
Yes, right? Because that's also the name of the blue bird from the comics, which is what was confusing me. I think this is the best part of the whole thing because it's unique and new. I think this guy looks pretty cool.
I'm right there with you. Initially, when I looked at his chest, it looked like the Legacy Blur chest, you know, just with the window and stuff. But I'm right there with you. I hated this weapon on the original. And so seeing that they actually did something with it, it made me think, okay, go ahead. Kudos to you, Hasbro, for getting creative and not.
I agree.
So I actually like that part. You know, now, do I love the actual bot itself? Not necessarily, but it is what it is. It's a new take on it, and I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, and didn't have any pictures, at least on the Hasbro thing, of the tiers. So you're gonna get that big sword and then a like warp gate or something. And here you can see them like fist bumping because they ain't holding hands here like they do in the cartoon. And what is up with that Magnus articulation for that thumb? Just give it a ball joint. Like,
hitchhiker.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the Haslab. Let us know if you're getting it below, please. But now, why don't we get into our personal opinions? Now, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Well, correction. They actually did show pictures of the sword.
They did show it, but they didn't have it on the listing for the on their Hasbro site. That's where I got those pictures from.
Okay. Got it. So let's talk about. I guess I'm going to start off positive. I'm going to start off with the things I liked, and I like that the Magnus head in the combined mode is actually hidden.
Yes.
Unlike the toy, I mean, it looked like he just had a head in his back. So I like that aspect of it. I talked about the Energon Matrix for Magnus. I like that the ladder, I said that it doesn't fold. Even though it looks bad, the handshake, I think they could have done a little bit better with it, but I'm glad that you're able to at least simulate that. Those were the things that I really liked about it. So I'll let you go ahead and talk about anything that you
I'll do what I liked.
Unless you want to do it opposite.
I'll do what I liked first. I'll do what I liked. So none of those things matter to me that you pointed out. I don't care about the little details. I like that it looks like the characters it's supposed to. A little bit too much, which I'll get into in a second, but I like that it looks like the characters it's supposed to. I like the size. It's slightly larger than the original, so I think that's good. I would say the paint looks good, but again, these are renders, so I can't really speak on that. And it is what it is. Now I'll let you go first with your negatives and then I'll go into mine.
So it's funny because they actually kind of try to clean it up on the show, but they talked about the gaps in Ultra Magnus in particular. And now Blue Bolt, kind of disassembles and can fill in some of those gaps. Again, why are we still discussing gaps at this point? And especially with
on a $250 figure.
Yes, and for you to sit there and say that we've, now Blue Bolt is also a weaponizer type of thing. Honestly, I don't want to have to break it all apart to fill up gaps in the figure. Now, maybe that's due to transformation or whatever, but again, we've seen flaps be put in to cover up things, whatever. So that's an issue for me there. The price point, again, I think that's high. I also didn't like the tiers, really. I mean, 10,000 backers, and I looked, as of recording, there was 1,891 backers, so 18% there already, and that's less than an hour after, so that's good. I didn't like the Matrix Blade, really, and I didn't like the Global Space Bridge as tiers. If they were combined for one tier, cool, and then they had some others, great, but the tiers don't really excite me. So those are kind of the things that I didn't like. I also didn't like, which I think you're going to go rant about. I didn't like that we're not really getting anything that's making me say I need to get this because it's so much better than the original. To me, so far, I haven't seen it where it's that much better than the original. And for a 40-year, and this was supposed to tie in the community and this, that, and the other that they said, I don't know if RID did it for everybody. I was looking at the comments, and a lot of the comments on the post were very negative. I mean, I know we've gotten some that said we're negative, and you know, I know we just try to be honest about our personal opinions, but a lot of those were like, I was like, oh, you know. So yeah, that was my take on it.
Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying I love RID. I love the designs. That was, besides Machine Wars, which really didn't have a story component, that was my first my first introduction to vehicular Transformers. Beast Machines doesn't really count. I mean, yeah, there's vehicles in there, but it's not the same. You know what I mean? So this was my first one. But my main complaint is exactly what you said. Why, if I already have RID Optimus and Magnus. Now they're in pieces because they were in my kids, you know, when I was a kid, and I got to put them back together. Why would I get this instead of that? There is nothing besides the weaponizer that's new and unique. Yes, the proportions are a little bit better. Yes, you can hide Magnus's head. It has ankle tilts. But is that worth a $250 price point? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think the figure looks good for what it is, but I don't, you know, I guess it's not my cup of energon, but it would be if it was cheaper. There's no reason for me to go run out and buy this. It doesn't have any unique features. They didn't say, look at all the posability you got. It has practically the same static hands with like one hinge. And that was always what I didn't like about that figure, are those hands. They couldn't have, you know, given them, maybe not all the articulation, because that's a little bit much, but they could have given it like another bend, or, you know, separate the index finger, something to make it a little bit more enticing. I mean, I know this came out a few years ago, but like Fans Hobbies Power Baser is the same type of thing. And that was $300. And you got a whole heck of a lot more stuff with that versus this. And I know you can't really compare third party to Hasbro. There's a lot of overhead and blah, 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 blah. I get that. But from a consumer point of view, why would I spend $250 on a figure that looks like it came out of 2001 versus a third party figure? And that's what really has me disappointed, is they didn't try to improve at all. You know, we have a friend of the channel, Jose, and shout out to Jose. He collects, he only buys vintage figures because he thinks the new ones are horrible. And he said it looked like a KO, an upscaled KO. Which, would it really be a KO? No. But he said it just looked like an upscaled version of the original. And that's that. You know, it looks like they did that with some ankle tilts and called it a day, because it's too lazy. Like, and I get these figures are expensive now, so if somebody wants them, they might get this, just like I'm doing with Magmatron. But yeah, there's no innovation besides Blue Bolt, and that's what makes me mad.
Well, you actually touched on something that I would, if I didn't already have this figure, the original, then I might be leaning towards picking it up because I don't have a representation of it. But since I have it, there's nothing that's making me say, yeah, I need to go get this. I don't see, as you said, I don't see any real improvements. If there were some lights, some sounds, again, we're talking about a 40-year anniversary, you know, like, if it said something
fireable missiles, you know, off the thing that the original one had, you know, we put spring-loaded missiles in this because it's for you guys, not for kids, or something like that. You know?
Like
something to boost it up.
Yeah, there wasn't enough in here to, besides the fact, I mean, 250. The argument could be, well, you're getting 3 bots for 250. Okay, I see that, but the 250 in each, or the individual bots, don't add up to a total of 250 to me. There's not enough improvements or enough going on in them to make them at that price point. So, I mean, if you're basically saying, you know, $100 120, 115 for Magnus and Prime, and then $20 for Blue Bolt or something like that. Would I, if they were sold individually, would I spend that much on them? No.
Yeah, I would spend the $25 on Blue Bolt because I think it's a unique new design, but I don't think I would pay for the other ones. And it also, another point that I was thinking of, it makes me mad that this is the Haslab because we're never going to get the yellow repaint of Prime that's a female Prime from an alternate universe. Because I know you don't know it, but I like alternate versions of Prime. You know that.
Well,
and I
saw it. When I was
you did see it. Yeah, you did. Yeah. So that one, they retconned it to where that's a female. And it's the one female Prime. And I think that is amazing. And we're never going to get that now because this mold is locked inside of Haslab.
I'm disappointed. Again, I'm actually going to go back and just look at the comments that people said, because it actually surprised me. I did mention that this might be the Haslab to you, last week sometime, and we kind of off camera talked about it. I'm really curious what the fans think. Are you in on this? Are you out? Why not? Were we too harsh? Were we not harsh enough? Let us know what your ideas and thoughts are on this, because again, I'm going to go back and look at the comments on Haslab and see, because I was actually laughing. There was a lot of people who said that they were out on this. So I'm curious to see if this is going to get backed or not, which would also be somewhat disappointing, but also somewhat warranted, I think.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think it's a good figure. If anybody backed this, I say great for you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it looks, they did a good job. They just didn't do enough for me. That's just the end of the line,
Yeah. If this
it's not like Deathsaurus. Exactly. If Target exclusive, totally get it. But like Deathsaurus, it is a complete redo of the G1 toy that we never got. So I was on board. RID toys already have a lot of articulation, already have complex transformations. You have to put a little bit more effort in, Hasbro, for these RID toys. But I don't think that's happening, because you saw what they're going to do with Sideburn with that Shadow Striker mold. So the hot dogs on her chest.
I'm very curious. Again, if they would have added some light up features, I think I would have been, light up features in the Matrix, in the chest, in the eyes, something like that. I would have been like, oh, okay. I actually may have leaned towards backing it.
Me too, honestly, because that's a step up from, it's 2 steps up, 3 or 4, not just 1 step up, which is what they did.
Yeah, I think if they did something like that, and I know it's bad to say that, because again, I know you don't really do the batteries and the lighter features, but all my figures that come with them have batteries and things in them, and even though I don't turn them on or whatever, just to say that they're there, and eventually, if I want to, I can turn it on, turn it off. To me, that is a upgrade, and that's what I think the Haslabs are supposed to be, upgrades to figures that we've either had or that were out or that we've never had. And this is like, you're asking us to shell out money for you to make this figure. And
and I think the Haslab should be an upgrade to not only the past, but to the present. These things should be so far in the future, but be so far past quality-wise with what we already get in the stores, if you ask me. And I don't see it with this. Even Deathsaurus, he wasn't, I could see that in a Target. Maybe not with a throne and stuff. Right. But, so I think they need to step up their game with these Haslabs, honestly. Give us something that we would have never gotten before. Because they probably were already designing this and said, well, why don't we just turn it into a Haslab?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Let's just do a Haslab and we'll do something else. We'll do Magmatron or for the Commander, and we'll do RID Prime for that. It's fine, whatever. That's what I think happened.
Yeah. And honestly, when it started, I really liked the combined mode, the Omega Prime mode. It looked really good, and from the renders, I was just like, oh, okay, this is what I thought it might be, potentially, possibly. And then when they started going into it, I was just like, oh, the air started coming out of the balloon. I was just like, oh, okay. What else? Okay, yeah. Wait. You went too fast. Did I miss something? Let me rewind it back a little bit. I must have missed something that you said that was added in here. So.
Yeah, no, I got excited when I saw the email with it because I wasn't able to watch it on right when it happened. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, it's nice.
Yeah.
like I know it's a matter of time before Fans Hobby or somebody does this figure.
And honestly,
and I would pay $250 just for an Optimus that's really nice looking.
I honestly, I mean, I feel like they missed the boat here. But let us know what you think, again, in the comments. We will probably be talking about this on our regular news as well, but we did definitely want to get this out to you and get your thoughts on the Haslab. One more thing that I forgot, I didn't realize that this was only a Haslab show. I thought it was like a normal Transformers Tuesday. So I was also looking for other things, but that was my own bad on that.
Yeah. Well, it was, I think they wanted to just focus on the Haslab so people back it. So
yeah,
we'll see. Well, let us know below if you're going to be picking this up, if you're excited about it, if you're not excited about it, if you wanted Primus, but they decided to do this thing. I
forgot.
I think they would have had a lot better turnout if they did Primus. But either which way, we'll save that for another episode. So let us know below, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.